What's up, everybody? Jeff here, and I just got a little package from Firelog Games. I'm very excited about this. This is actually the little starter forces for Port Royal, which is the skirmishy game that Firelog put out earlier this year. I actually have not had a chance to play it yet, although I have scheduled my first game for a week or two from now. But the game looks really cool, and I'm a huge fan of Blood and Plunder. So it was cool that they decided to put out these little starter sets. So each one of these is for one specific faction in the game, and there's a handful of models in there. Some of which are actually brand new sculpts, which is cool because they look nice and characterful. And I actually have the Carib natives, I have the Maroons, and I have the Jamaican pirates here. So we're going to take a look at all three of those. Of course, I only mess with the freedom-loving people in the game. We don't appreciate kings around here. So let's go right in and take a look at some Jamaican pirates. That's false advertising. Don't pay attention to that. So first we have a nice little reference sheet, which is very handy. It's always nice to have something like this when you're playing instead of having to flip through the book. So these are the 6 models that come in the box. We have a captain, a freebooter, I think that's a new sculpt, quartermaster, a sea dog, another sea dog, that might also be a new sculpt, and a boatswain. So the list building in this game is pretty cool. There's like archetypes of different characters that you can play, and typically you'll draw those from your Blood and Plunder collection, but these are just some more kind of dedicated individual units that can work with each of the different types of guys you can hire. And you can hire multiples of many of them too, so you may still need stuff from your collection, but this is a good, I forget the exact points cost that you get out of this, but this is like a good starting army if you want to just get in and try the game. So in the bag we have some reference, we have special rules up at the top, and then your weapons as well as their special characteristics at the bottom. Also super helpful. I'm wondering if they're at level, if they're ever going to sell reference card like this. I mean, you could always print them out yourself, but I love having some good reference cards to make it easier to have less to look through, less flipping pages and more shooting at the horrible forces of the crown. We also have the faction rules for them up the top. I believe all the models in here are their new 3D prints, which in my experience have been pretty good. There's also like a little objective marker, which is cool because the game needs that kind of stuff. It's all about getting the loot. They also have 3D printed bases, which is nice because the metal ones are very heavy. Get rid of these guys. So this is the objective marker. Looks like plates and food and supplies and goblets. That's interesting. You have to excuse my hands, they're all messed up. Lots of hobby casualties this week. So that's cool. I always love a little flavor like that. Let's take a look here. We have the captain. Yeah, these are resin 3D prints. Pretty nice. Can't really see any. There's a couple of little bits that might have to get cleaned up. Like on the back of his hat there. Whoops, can't focus. You can see a little bit on the back of his hat that might have to get cleaned up, but nothing too major. I don't see a lot of the little connecting pieces that you sometimes see on 3D prints, and there's not anything really in the way of layer lines, which is also cool. They get some pretty good detail out of these. Obviously their line used to be metal, and people have strong feelings about metal models. I generally don't like them. They're kind of annoying. So personally I'm quite happy to see them moving over like this. This is the Sea Dog with his hatchet. Rockin' no shirt. Interesting. A lot of these guys have sidearms. I think the pirates tend to have pistols and things like that. Brace of pistols available. I typically play the natives, so I don't know anything about any of that stuff. But I do want to get the pirates out and take them for a spin because they seem like they'll be fun. Who doesn't love a good pirate? We got a freebooter. I think a freebooter is also from a European army in Blood and Plunder. I'd have to double check that. I'm not actually that familiar with the European armies because I usually spend my time just poking them with arrows. We have the Sea Dog. I really like this model. It's very cool. Lots of detail in like the face and the hair. And he's got his little reverse grip knife, which is, I'm told, not a good way to fight, but it does look cool. And that's really what it's all about when it comes down to it. Who is next? We got a boatswain. A nice long musket. No bendy bits, which is cool. One of the problems with metal and traditional plastic is you'll often get a gun like that and it'll be bent in a U shape. This one is straight as an arrow, which is great. And last but not least, the Quartermaster. Now I believe that's a blunderbuss. Let's see if it says that. It does. Sword and blunderbuss is what he is equipped with, which makes sense. Blunderbusses are super dangerous in Blood and Plunder. I don't know how dangerous they're going to be in Port Royal, but I would imagine they will be very dangerous. Alright, next up, we have the Caribbean natives, the Caribs, led by a cacique, which is historically what they called their leader, which is very cool. We have, I think that's an existing model. Or, yeah, it definitely looks familiar. We have a young warrior. In Blood and Plunder, these are kind of your high resolve but low stat models, which is also reflected here. We have a shaman. That's definitely a new model. And I'll be excited to make him up for as a character for Blood and Plunder, one of the special characters, because that'll work really well. Looks like he's got a skull in his hand, which is cool. Hopefully that's a royalist, or was. We have a warrior. Again, I think that is already an existing model. As a matter of fact, I think all of these are existing models. We have an elder, which is not a thing in Blood and Plunder. I don't know what that's supposed to represent. Perhaps there's a character we can use him for, though, in the big game. And then a regular warrior. The regular warriors in Blood and Plunder are like the really good melee units. These guys have bows, though, so that's interesting. I guess you want to have some ranged option. I tend to like to... One of the reasons I like playing the natives in Blood and Plunder is because you can very heavily specialize them, right? So you can have models that are just good at shooting, you can have models that are just good at melee, and it means that they're pretty efficient on their points. They also get a lot of like special rules that make them hard to deal with, which is cool. So I'll be curious if that carries over to Port Royal. Again, I haven't actually taken it for a spin yet, but I'm sure I will just play the Caribs because for my first game, just because they're who I'm familiar with and they're my favorite. So let's check out the models here. So they come in a blister pack, and I wonder if I'm going to show this on the website, but I forget what it actually comes with as far as... I don't know what the hell that is. It looks like a dude crouching down. I don't think it's a dude. I don't know what that is, but it's kind of weird looking. Maybe there's some kind of statue or something, or like an idol that the Caribs were known to make. I'm not sure what that is. That is weird. It's clearly supposed to be a face, some kind of mask maybe. It almost looks like a body crouching down. But it would be very small and kind of strange looking. I don't know. Get in the comments below and let me know what the hell this is. Alright. We have... I can tell right away that the bows are very, very, very thin. This is going to be a little bit on the fragile side, I would imagine. So definitely be careful if you pick these guys up, because these resin 3D prints tend to be pretty brittle. So if you drop this, I would imagine it's going to break. But really nice quality. The bows are thinner, which is nice because it makes them look more real. This is definitely very similar to one of the existing models, although it might be ever so slightly different. I don't remember it having a little thing hanging down his arm like that. So that's the young warrior. We have a warrior. Again, very thin bow. But at least this guy doesn't have a an arrow strung. He's got his knife out, which is cool. He looks good. We've got another warrior. I think these would be called warrior archers in Blood and Plunder, if I remember right. But as long as they have the right weapons, you can kind of mix and match. It's not that big of a deal. Definitely very crisp. I would be tempted to replace my pre-existing army with the all these plastics, or the 3D prints, but I have way too many of them, and they're all painted, so I don't want to do that again. Yeah, so this is the current officer that's available for the Caribbean natives. So I think I already have one that is just like this, but always good to have a little redundancy. Maybe I'll do a mirror match as a demo at some point. The Cacique. We have the Shaman. He's cool. I think this is my favorite one so far. Yeah. A nice skull in his hand. He looks like he's about to do some sort of ritual or cut some dudes up. I like it. He's got like some sort of necklace on. It has like feathers or something like that. I have a whole army of specifically Taino for Mythic Americas, which is like a more fantasy focused game than this. And they tend to have, you know, it's a little bit, they have some creative license there because it's not historical, but they have a lot of feathery decorations. It's very cool. They're very colorful. And that is the Elder, which I think is just a warrior musketeer from the mainline game, but the Elder has a musket and a dagger. And it looks like he's got kind of middling stats, so we'll see how it goes. But that's the Caribbean natives, the Caribs, as it were. And last but not least, we have the Maroons. Now, this one I am the most excited about, honestly, because the Maroons do not have dedicated models for them yet. You can use the multi-part Native American kits to have alternate heads. So I've made up a bunch of Maroons to use in both their own army as well as a couple of armies that you can take some of their units in Blood and Plunder. But this is the first time we're getting some dedicated models, and that is pretty exciting. If you're not familiar, the Maroons are slaves who escaped bondage and are out trying to wreck shit, because that's what I would do, so it makes sense to me. So it's very cool. They have a handful of options. They have a special unit in Blood and Plunder that's one of the most expensive models in the entire game. They're like they're like really good stats and a bunch of the like more native style special rules that make them very hard to deal with, which is cool because the natives tend to be very mediocre in terms of their stats and equipment. So this guy's kind of got everything, which makes him hard to play, but kind of cool that it exists. So we have the captain, which is cool because he's got all his clothes on. The ones I have right now look more like, they're dressed more like the natives, so it'll be cool to mix in some fully dressed, even in like European style clothing to mix in there, because of course some people would have already been entirely socialized while they were in bondage to dress similarly. So it'll be cool to get a nice mix. We have two renegades. One's just got they both just have a sword. And they have the scout special rule. So I believe those are both. I think everything here is a new sculpt, actually. This one might be from the native line. I'll have to double check. An advisor with a musket and a sword. We have a young warrior. Yeah, that's even the name of a native unit, so I suspect that's just a native guy who's fighting alongside them. And then we also have a raider, musket and sword. 6666. And resolve 5. So he seems like he'll be pretty solid, actually. Yeah. Very cool. Let's check him out, because as I said, these are all new. I would love to see them do more to support this line and even expand out their rules a bit, because it's really interesting. Curious why this comes in a bag and not a blister. Maybe they're too big. Let's see here. We have a weapons cache. This is cool because that would make some good terrain in any game, but definitely a nice objective. We have some equipment stacked up, hatchet, some crates, and some guns. So that'll make a cool objective. The Raider. Yeah, I'm really excited for him. I like that it's a really dynamic sculpt too. Like, you can see that the posing sticks out in a lot of different directions. Some of the older fashioned models, you might notice that they're all kind of in one plane. Like they go left and right, but they're mostly flat if you look at them from the top down. This guy's got stuff sticking out in every direction, which is cool because it looks a little more natural, like he's actually walking around going to get up to some business. We've got the advisor, who looks like he's about to advise somebody as to what the barrel of that gun tastes like, which is cool. It's a weird way to swing it at somebody, but hey, you know, do what you gotta do. Yeah, so this guy's got pants on but no shirt. He's got like a sash for equipment. Oh, that's actually a bag. And no shoes on. So, quite a bit, kind of mixing it up a little bit, which is cool. This guy's dressed similarly. This guy's got a nice fancy hat. Everybody appreciates a fancy hat. He's a renegade. And he's fully dressed, so he's got a shirt on. He's got those big poofy shorts. And he probably even has high socks on, like a weirdo. And shoes. So, pretty cool. I guess you could just paint up some European models with dark skin and be like, renegade. But that's not as fun. I like it better this way. We've got the young warrior. Now that I'm looking at it, that's not an existing sculpt of a young warrior. It's similar. Posing is very similar, but that is not. Certainly not. The head is different. The hair is different. The clothing is different. He's got a machete style knife. The natives have little like dagger type things. So that's actually, as far as I can tell, also a brand new sculpt. Very cool. We've got the renegade. The other renegade. I like this guy's pose a lot. That's very cool. These models actually look a little bit more heroic scaled than some of the rest of the line, which is interesting. Like, his head looks pretty big. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But he's got on fancy clothes. He's got like a little necktie and long pants, shoes. So cool that it's getting mixed up. These are going to look really good when they get painted. You'll have like a good mix of different styles that look like a mishmash, which I think is what it should look like. No, this guy's my favorite. The captain. Yeah, he just looks like a boss. Like, that looks like the type of guy that everybody's going to listen to. He looks like he's got authority and presence. Very cool. Something about a pointing finger, you know? And the way he's holding that pistol kind of casually off to the side like that, I don't know. I like it. He's got the full get-up on. And, I don't know. I think this one might be my favorite. Maybe I'll have to play Maroons. I don't know. What do I do? I'll just have to play a lot of games, and then I can play all of them. How about that? So, that is our 3 starter forces for Port Royal. And currently, there is a big event going on called Summer of Plunder, which if you're into these games at all, then you should probably know about that already. It's a big campaign that the community organized, and then particularly the Blood and Pigment guys, and then eventually Firelock kind of made an official thing. And because that's going on, you should definitely check it out. But there's also a sale right now where if you spend, I think it's $100 on Firelock's website, they will send you this guy. he looks like he's having a good time. He's got a nice bottle up in the air. Kind of Jack Sparrow vibes. A little. Probably intentional. I don't know. But it's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of different models you could use this for in the game, which is cool. I think any pirate, you could make them work for almost any faction except for the natives, really. And if you wanted to put him in the natives, I certainly wouldn't scoff at it. He got himself a nice jacket. It was a piece of loot. But I think I'm going to make him one of the named characters, like a cook, because he looks like he could make up some nice cocktails, you know, raise the spirits. I think the special rule the cook does is it lets you take some extra rallies, so he'll pass out a couple of drinks, keep everybody's spirits high. But very cool. I like that they do these sort of special characters. They started doing a bunch of them since they moved over to the 3D prints, and I definitely want to see them do more of that stuff. I've actually kit bashed up a handful of special characters, but it's cool that they're doing their own. He's armed with a sword and a pistol, which kind of makes him like one of the sailor type units, but again, I'm going to make him a cook. I want whatever he's drinking. So you can get that now. I don't know how long that sale's going on, but if you're watching this anytime close to the posting, then go check that out. If you want to pick up some stuff, you can get a free drunken sailor. And yeah, get down in the comments below and let me know what you think of Port Royal. I have been itching to get a game in for a while, and my friends are dragging their feet on painting their stuff, but I have a game set up for about 2 weeks from now at the time of filming, so I'm definitely going to be back for more videos to talk about my impressions of the game after I've done it. And I've also gonna give this guy away, so definitely stay tuned, because Firelock was actually kind enough to send me a copy of the game early for review, and well, I had already backed the Kickstarter, so I took the copy they sent me, used it for myself, and that's the copy that I got on the Kickstarter, and I'm gonna give it away because I have so many sailors I don't need anymore. So stay tuned for that. When I do my next video on Port Royal, there will be details for how to enter, and of course patrons will get an extra entry into that giveaway if they are interested. It will very likely also still be limited to the continental United States though, so if you're listening to this from overseas, unfortunately it would cost more than that box is worth to ship it to you, so that really makes sense. But that's all I got for you for now. I want to send a huge thank you to the extremely cool kids here on Patreon: the Steam Grab Scoundrels, Dogmatize, Spanner Rider, Dinette, Rob Younce, Tom Likely, and Russets. And thanks for watching.